A Kevin Durant trade is the worst kept secret in the NBA. Some reporters are putting their reputation on the line to guarantee it.
What happens with the Suns this summer, Wendy?
Yeah, well, they're going to trade him.
Wow, how much more direct can you get? But to where? Well, we're finally getting details. So this trade deadline, Durant signed off on 5 different teams to go to. Remember when KD told Draymond, I don't want the Warriors because I want to play it out here in Phoenix? That was a lie. KD straight up said, I will go to these 5 teams.
Minnesota, Miami, New York, San Antonio, and Houston were among the teams. I'm told there was mutual interest between Durant and those teams. I expect those teams and potentially others to be back in the fray.
Wow. Okay, so the Knicks, Wolves, Heat, Spurs, which is insane, and Rockets. Then Sham says possibly others. Does that mean Dallas? And who goes all in here for KD? Well, we'll know more after the playoffs, right? Like, we need a team who says, if we only had Kevin Durant, we would have won this thing. So that narrows it down to about 3 teams. Where is KD going next? It's obvious. But right now, the Suns are in trouble. They made massive trades for KD and Bradley Beal, which put them in salary cap hell and depleted picks and depth. The result was 6th place last year, swept by the Minnesota Timberwolves in round 1. This year, even with Dallas losing Kyrie, the Suns cannot grab the 10 seed. Like when Kyrie went down, we're like, okay, well, Phoenix just gets in the play-in, but they can't. That is how bad they have been. Just another example of when you put 2 great players together, Giannis and Dame, Book and KD, it means nothing. But the relationship between Mike Budenholzer and Kevin Durant sucks. Like, did you see last month where Bud grabs his arm, KD rips it away and yells at him? Well, reports say that Durant was pleading with Bud to simplify certain offensive actions for the younger players who were having a hard time. Then coach tells Booker to tone it down vocally. Weird. It got so bad that the Suns tried to trade Durant at the deadline without even telling him. Hoped he wouldn't find out, but he did and was shocked. So what teams would go all in this summer? Well, keep in mind, next year Durant will be 37 years old, so this is probably his last chance to win a 3rd ring, first away from Golden State. But when you look at his career averages compared to this year, dude is still elite, but even more efficient. The only thing that's kind of dipped is defense, but let's be honest, you ain't getting KD for the D. So a Phoenix reporter said that the price is 3 first-round picks and 1 good young player. So if that's the deal, we've got to look at what teams can actually make that trade and where does he fit? Does KD make them a championship contender? Well, the first team is the Heat. Why? Because they already tried to trade for him at the deadline, even had a package in place. But a report said that Phoenix wanted their whole team, like including Bam and Tyler Hero. So I think their most realistic best offer is Nikola Jovic, Andrew Wiggins, and 2 first-round picks. Plus, the Nets have to take Duncan Robinson and Keshad Johnson for a pick. But on the Heat, from a systematic and coaching standpoint, one of the best offenses in the NBA. Spacing's always on point, constant movement off the ball. Spo, great in-game adjustments. But since trading Jimmy Butler, the Heat are lacking on-ball scoring and creating outside of Tyler Hero. You put KD in a spaced-out 3-point movement-heavy offense, elite. But are they a contender? No. The Rockets, though, have a much better trade offer. But he would never go to a young squad. Actually, listen to how all-in dude is on this team.
JG, I mean, we built a good bond over the last few years. To see his growth as a player, been working out with Jabari a couple times. Somebody I always watched when he was in high school. These guys just want to be great, man. So what I took from them is like the work ethic, attention to detail. And you got guys like Royale, Ime, and the rest of the coaching staff. Hold them to a standard every day. You're going to see growth in them pretty quickly.
Wow. But how would he fit? Well, before we get to the actual trade, on-ball creation, not an issue with Jalen Green, Fred VanVleet, Alperen Şengün, but plugging Durant into this young athletic core could be scary. For example, imagine KD here setting a screen for Jalen Green or Amen Thompson. Their ability to curl to the rim pulls Durant's man down, giving him space to pop out behind the line. They finally get that number 1 score. So the offer is the Rockets get KD for Dillon Brooks, Reed Shepherd, Cam Whitmore, Jock Landale, and all the Suns picks back. The Suns would jump at this. But why not wait on Devin Booker if you're Houston? And if Giannis becomes available, they'll be like, KD who? But still, the reports say that the Rockets are in love with Kevin Durant, so we have to include him. But next is the Knicks. Problem is they've got so few picks left, it's got to be for players, so the Suns better love them some Karl Anthony Towns. Oh, you think New York wouldn't trade Towns? I mean, he's been great, but all that matters is the playoffs. If Cat comes up short, we know that KD is lethal. The Knicks have other salaries to move around, but they're not going to move Jalen Brunson, and OG would be too valuable on defense. So the offer is KD for Karl Anthony Towns and Tyler Kolek straight up. Devin Booker reunites with his buddy Cat in Phoenix. But how much better would the Knicks be? Could they compete with the Cavs and Celtics? Well, one wrinkle that New York's added this year is using Josh Hart as a passing hub. He catches at the top of the key while New York runs different pin downs or flare screens. But let's put KD in Josh Hart's shoes. The defense has to worry about both Brunson off a flare screen while also having to deal with maybe the best one-on-one scorer in the NBA at the top of the key. Either Durant gets plenty of space to isolate, or it pulls the off-ball defense down, freeing up shooters on the perimeter. Checkmate. But what about the Spurs? Can you imagine Victor Wembanyama and Kevin Durant on the same team? I'm actually surprised that San Antonio is on this list because of how risk-averse they are. But before we get to the trade, the fit? Let's imagine swapping Harrison Barnes for KD. We'll see De'Aaron Fox comes off this ball screen toward the left, but notice how Porzingis from the weak side goes across to take away the rim. But that's just gonna leave open this skip pass to the corner for a wide open Kevin Durant 3. So in essence, the Celtics would be in a lose-lose situation here. If Porzingis stays home, then they're gonna give up open lobs to the rim to Wemby, or if he shifts down, you're leaving open a 45% three-point shooter. Amazing. But what does the trade look like? Well, they still have a ton of assets after the De'Aaron Fox deal, so I think their best offer is KD for Devin Vassell, Harrison Barnes, and all of Atlanta's picks. That is the Spurs' best young player outside of Wemby and the Hawks' first. Exactly what Phoenix is looking for. But we cannot forget the Minnesota Timberwolves. KD and Anthony Edwards created a strong bond at the Olympics. And they've got brand new owners, baby, with new owner syndrome. Just look at what happened on the Suns. Now, the major block you would think is the second apron because both teams are in the second apron, but Minnesota will dip below that this offseason. So before we get to the trade, what about the fit? Are they good enough to compete with OKC in the West? Well, let's look at how Jalen Pickett is going to roam off Conley to double Anthony Edwards, something we've seen a lot this year. But if we were to put KD in that position, there's no way Denver can afford to give him that much space. Here, Edwards on this play is going to get the switch off this screen to receive another double team. But again, if you have KD spotting up on the weak side, wing, or corner, you're for sure giving up an open 3 or 2. So no more doubles for Anthony Edwards to cook. So the trade is Timberwolves get Durant, Suns get Jaden McDaniels, Dante DiVincenzo, Rob Dillingham, and control of 2 firsts. That is a huge return for Phoenix. They get 3 good young players and control of 2 picks. We could actually see Ant, KD, and Gobert next season. Now, the wild card in all this is the Dallas Mavericks. Kyrie was injured, so to keep them afloat, they would pair AD with KD next year, but that would mean trading all of their depth, like KD for Clay, PJ Washington, Najee Marshall, Max Christie, Dwight Powell, but the Mavericks have 0 picks. I do not actually think this is realistic. So, the short list of KD's next team is the Rockets, because they're so interested, Timberwolves, and Knicks. So those are the only franchises with the assets and the talent level to make this work. But if Giannis comes on the market, KD will have to take a back seat, okay? The Greek Freak is still in his prime, and something very weird is going on in Milwaukee.